Hello everybody, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things horror. And today, if you couldn't tell, we are going to be talking about Christmas horror movies, or maybe rather Christmas genre movies. Over the last couple of days, I've gotten a chance to see some of the latest holiday movies that have come out. I saw Violent Night, which is much more of an action comedy rather than straight up horror. And I also saw Christmas Bloody Christmas. I'll be talking about Christmas Bloody Christmas in another video, so keep an eye out for that. But today we're going to be talking about Violent Night, which is about a vigilante Santa Claus played by Stranger Things actor David Harbour, and him kicking ass and saving a family from a group of criminals who want to steal the family's wealth. There will be spoilers in this review, so just keep that in mind if you haven't seen the film yet. So overall, I enjoyed Violent Night. I didn't love it, which I'll talk about for reasons in a second, but it definitely had a lot of elements that I really enjoyed in this type of a film. I really enjoyed David Harbour as an actor, and it was nice to see him in something outside of the Stranger Things universe. Overall, I found the acting in this movie to be really good. I really enjoyed the young actress, I believe her name is Leah Brady, who plays the young girl Trudy. It was nice to see Beverly D'Angelo again. I feel like I haven't seen her in a film in a minute. And then of course you have John Leguizamo, kind of playing the typical John Leguizamo bad guy part, but you know, he's always good at it. So yeah, for the most part, the acting was fine. I wish they had given some of the other members of the family some more to do, because they just came across as kind of annoying, and I know that they were supposed to be annoying, right? You're supposed to not really like them, but they kind of keep the same note throughout the whole film, right? There's not really a lot of change or character development there. So I would have liked if there was a little bit more of that for some of the other family members. In addition to the acting, I also really enjoyed the themes that this film explored. It has a commentary on consumerism and our culture's obsession with money. You have a whole montage where we see David Harbour as Santa Claus going to different houses to deliver presents, and every time he picks up a wish list from a kid, all it says is just money, 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 money. You definitely get the sense that society has just become very cynical, that it's really lost the magic of Christmas. You have Santa Claus at the beginning of the film lamenting over the fact that kids don't appreciate the gifts that they get, right? They open one present and are excited for a couple of seconds and then immediately just want to move on to the next gift, which is very true. And admittedly, I was one of those kids on Christmas morning. You also have these great little moments, like when David Harbour first arrives at the family's house, they've set out some homemade cookies for him, and he takes a bite of the cookie and he appreciates that it's homemade, implying that people aren't even making cookies for Santa Claus anymore, right? They're just getting whatever generic brand they can find at the supermarket and putting it out there. So I love little moments like that, and I think it does a really great job of establishing just the themes. And I will say another thing that I liked about this film is that we do get a sequence that is pretty much just a very gratuitous homage to Home Alone, except in a way that's very over the top and very violent. And I loved that whole sequence. That was great. So overall, I felt like Violent Night had all of the elements there to be a truly great film. However, it just didn't quite get there for me. I would say my biggest critique of this film is that it felt like it was trying to be multiple different kinds of Christmas movie at once. On one hand, you have the very sentimental family type vibe. You have the violent action vibe of something like Die Hard. You have the comedic bits that sometimes feel like Christmas Vacation, and then at other times are very profanity heavy and very gross out comedy, something that you might see in like Bad Santa. So it had all these different tones to it, and I don't know that these different tones meshed together that well throughout the whole film. I feel like the film needed to pick a lane and then stay in that lane, and then just maybe have little sprinkles of these other elements throughout. There were times where the action in the film would reach a lull point for a significant amount of time, and usually in these scenes the film wanted to have some sort of sentimental moment between like Trudy and Santa Claus, or between some other members of the family, which is okay. I'm not saying that those scenes were bad or that the film shouldn't have included them in there. I think the film did need to have them in there. The problem is that they lasted a long time. And I will say at 2 hours, this feels like a long movie. I don't know if it needed to be that long. I think it's 1 hour and 50 minutes. Again, it just felt like there was a lot of padding in the middle, and I think the film would have felt tighter and been a bit better had it maybe stuck to just 1 hour and 30 minutes or maybe even 1 hour and 40 minutes. I wanted a little bit more ass kicking and a little less of the sentimental stuff. Speaking of the ass kicking, I didn't find this film that gory, or maybe not as gory as I was anticipating it to be. In all fairness, the last new movie that I saw before this one was Terrifier 2, so any film was gonna seem tame in comparison to Terrifier. But I don't know, I felt like I wanted them to have a little bit more fun with the gore and the violence. It definitely has its moments. There are definitely some great kills throughout the film. I guess what I was hoping or maybe expecting from this film is that it was gonna have that very kind of cartoonish, over-the-top violence, right? That kind of violence almost like something from, I don't know, like Kill Bill or something, where someone gets their throat slashed and it's just this like gallons of blood spraying everywhere. And then finally, my other issue with the film is that I don't really know if any of the characters learned their lesson by the end of it. They set up throughout the film that Beverly D'Angelo's character has all of this money that she's keeping in the basement of her home. That's why John Leguizamo and his bad guys are there, because they want the money. So there's the whole thing where the bad guys get a hold of the money, and then the family and Santa Claus fight the bad guys. And Santa Claus ends up getting shot throughout this final battle and starts dying. And the family are around and they're like, we have to save him. How can we save him? We have to keep him warm. And they have the sacks of money with them, and Trudy's mom gets the idea of like, hey, let's burn the money and we can keep Santa Claus warm that way, which I thought was brilliant, because I was like, yes, this ties in perfectly with the whole theme of consumerism and everyone being so money hungry these days. The film is playing with this idea that money has killed the magic of Christmas, and so the only way to bring that magic back and to save Santa Claus is by burning it. Beautiful. But the film doesn't really go all the way with that idea. You have one moment where the dad and the mom start burning the money, and you kind of have the other family members in the background. They're like, what are you doing? That's our money. And then it's just kind of this weird moment where everyone stops and is just standing around and saying like, I believe in Santa Claus, right? Like they all go around in a circle and are like, yes, I believe in Santa Claus now. And that magically brings Santa Claus back to life. I just felt like it would have been more powerful had the whole family agreed, like, yes, let's burn the money. Let's burn this thing that's torn our family apart. Let's burn this thing that has caused all of this destruction and violence. Like, I think the action of them working together to burn the money in order to make enough warmth for Santa Claus is a much more powerful message and much more related to the overall theme of the film, rather than just having them all stand around and saying through exposition like, yeah, I believe in Santa Claus. And so that's what I mean when I say that the film had all of the elements there to be truly great and to tell a truly great story. I mean, like literally right there, they set it up, but then they just didn't follow through on it. And then Santa Claus comes back to life, and he kind of has a moment with Trudy of like, oh, thank you for helping me to believe again. And I felt like it would have been nice to have had a moment with him that kind of mirrored what we saw at the beginning of the film, right? Where we have that montage where he's going to all the houses and he's so disgusted by all the people that just want money. If we had something to bookend the film where we see maybe like another montage of him going to houses and he sees that, you know, there are people out there that don't want money. There are people out there that still believe in the magic of Christmas and the values around it. Just something where we could see that Santa Claus learned his lesson as well throughout all of this. Again, I think I would have just liked to have seen a little bit more action and behavior change rather than have it all done through exposition. So overall, not a bad film. I just wish they had pushed the themes a little bit more. I did want a little bit more ass kicking throughout. They set up that Santa Claus was this badass Viking in another life, and he had this like hammer that he would carry around and smash people's heads with. Where was that? I wanted to see that in the movie. He doesn't get his hammer back until the end of the film when all the bad guys have already been defeated. So I was like, well, what was the point of that? But I did have genuine moments where I was laughing out loud. There were moments that I was having a lot of fun with the film. One of my favorite lines is towards the end of the film when John Leguizamo is talking about how he wants to destroy Christmas and destroy Santa Claus because he has this terrible past experience with Christmas. And he has this very dramatic but funny line where he says, "Christmas dies tonight," which I believe is very much a jab to Halloween Kills.
Evil dies tonight!
So I appreciated that. I thought that was really funny. So those are my thoughts on Violent Night. Did you see the film? If so, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.